Hey, Audrey, you got a minute? I need to talk to you about the present you got for Maria. Hi, Kayla. Did the package arrive in good shape? I hope the post office didn't damage it. Be sure to tell Maria congratulations from me. I'm so happy for her landing that big job. Oh, by the way, the watch is adjustable, so that should be fine, but if the pantsuit doesn't fit, I can get it tailored. Is this really all you got for her? I'm sorry? I mean, what use does she have for a cheap suit and ugly watch? She'd be the laughingstock. What were you thinking getting her this trash? Seriously, Audrey. She deserves way better than whatever brand these are. I would have told you not to send her a gift at all if I knew this is what you were going to get her. Hey, come on, Kayla. That's going a bit too far. And besides, if she showed up on the first day wearing a fancy designer suit and an expensive watch, her new colleagues might think she was shallow and vain. Besides, the suit is a good color for her, and the watch matches the necklace I got her a few years ago. Who cares about brands? You know how big the company she got hired at is, right? Everyone cares about brands. Actually, I don't think you ever told me. What company did she get hired at? There's no way I'm telling you that. It's one of the biggest companies in the state. If you need to ask, it's beyond your pay grade. Kayla, is this you talking or Maria talking? Did she actually tell you what she thought of the gifts? Of course she did. She's just like me. She actually has a sense for high fashion, unlike a certain someone else in the family. You want to know what she said in her words? What kind of cheapskate buys someone a ragged, ugly suit and junk watch like this as a gift? Tell her to spend at least $10,000 on my gift, and then we'll talk. Kayla, listen to me. I'm only saying this because I love both you and Maria, and I'm really concerned for her. Are you sure she'll be okay setting off into the real world like this? Excuse me? If that's really what she said to you, in her own words, then it seems like she has an enormous problem with her value system. You're just jealous. Just because your professional career was a complete failure and you're still working a mid-level job at your age doesn't mean that my Maria is as much of an unmotivated loser as you are. Like I said, Kayla, I'm only asking this because I'm genuinely concerned for her. Oh yeah? Well, you don't need to be. Worry about your own life, Audrey. Hey, John. Sorry to bother you while you're on a business trip. Do you have a minute?
Sure, Audrey, what's up?
I need to vent.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, babe. Tell me what's on your mind.
Thanks. So, it's about Maria. You know Maria, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, your niece, right? Kayla's daughter?
That's her. I heard Maria landed a good job at a big company, so I bought her a suit and watch that she could wear to work as a present.
Holy cow, Maria's already graduated from college? Man, time flies.
For real. But anyway, according to what Kayla told me in a text earlier today, Maria said they're cheap and ugly. She's never going to wear them, and that I should have bought her more expensive brand products.
No way.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe too, but that's what Kayla told me this afternoon.
Man, don't they know the expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth? Good grief.
To be honest, this isn't the first time the two of them have acted like this with me.
Seriously?
Yep. Kayla thinks that I'm a professional failure and that I work at a mid-level job for chicken feed. And, I mean, she's completely wrong about that and has no idea what she's talking about, but that attitude of hers seems to have rubbed off on her daughter. She started laying into me about that right after she got done insulting my present. She said that I was just jealous that Maria got a good job while I'm nothing but a loser.
Man, that's nuts. What company hired her anyway?
She wouldn't tell me. She said it was a secret.
What? She goes around bragging about Maria getting hired by some big company and won't even tell you what it is? What?
Yep. It's how she's always been. She's strategically secretive. She only tells people just enough to keep their attention and curiosity focused on her.
What a way to live. I can't imagine she has many quality friends with a personality like that. Now that I think about it, it's been years since I've seen Maria. I can't remember the last time I saw her.
Yeah, it's been a while. She's always going out with her friends, so she never comes to family events.
I remember now. I'm pretty sure I saw her at a family event about 10 years ago, so that would put her in middle school, I think. I probably wouldn't even recognize her if I saw her, to be honest.
I haven't shown you any pictures of her recently, have I? I'm pretty sure my mom sent me some pictures with Kayla and Maria together in them the other day. Let me look through my phone to see if I can find any. I'll be just a second. That's Kayla in the blue blouse, and Maria on the right.
Huh? Wait a second.
What is it, John?
This might sound kind of weird, but I think I actually have seen her recently.
Whoa, really? Where at?
She was in the group of applicants waiting for their interviews at my company earlier this spring. I saw her name on the resume and thought it was a strange coincidence that she had the same name as your niece. But the address was in a completely different city than where I remember you telling me they lived, so I didn't think much of it. Yep, I'm 100% sure of it. That girl in the picture is definitely the same girl that I met during the interviews.
Whoa, that's crazy. I bet you didn't recognize the address because she moved out of her house and into an apartment building closer to her college campus.
Yeah, duh, she went to college, didn't she? Oh boy, this could be a bit of a problem.
Why is that?
Things still aren't finalized over at my company, so I'll go and ask the head of HR about a few things and let you know what I find out later.
Audrey? Answer me, Audrey. You've got some explaining to do. Tell me what you did right now. Huh? I knew you were jealous of Maria, but I never thought that even someone as bitter as you could go and do a thing like this. Kayla, I have no idea what you're talking about, so could you calm down and tell me what on earth is going on? Maria got a call back from the company that hired her today. They said they're rescinding the offer for the position. They're going with a different applicant. Wait, for real? She just called me and told me, weeping her eyes out. That poor little thing. She doesn't deserve this. Hold on a second, Kayla. I'm gonna go check with someone who's more familiar with the situation than me. What? What do you mean?
Yes. Hi there, Kayla. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, hasn't it? It's John, Audrey's husband.
John? I had no idea you had my number.
Yeah, it's been a while since you gave it to me. It's unsurprising that you forgot about it.
Oh, well, anyway. So, do you know something about what happened with Maria? She told me the company rescinded their job offer to her.
Yes, actually, I'm the president of the company that she applied to.
You are?
I still can't believe that I didn't even recognize my own niece. I had no idea it was Maria who had applied until Audrey showed me her picture the other day. The last time I'd seen her, she was still in middle school. And since the address on the resume wasn't what I remembered yours to be, I thought that her having the same name was just a crazy coincidence. Although, I suppose it's kind of unusual that she wouldn't recognize me. I haven't really changed all that much in the last several years. Well, besides gaining a few pounds. but that's beside the point.
What? It's completely beside the point. Did you actually use your position to rescind Maria's job offer just to get revenge on me for what I said to Audrey? That's despicable! How could you? No, it's worse than despicable. That's abuse of authority. I'm gonna sue you.
Well, I was quite upset by the way you spoke to my wife, and I'm not quite over that yet. But the truth is that Maria's offer was rescinded for a completely unrelated reason.
Okay, well then why? You'd better have a good explanation.
Didn't Maria tell you what happened herself? The HR rep who called her and informed her should have explained the reason to her. There's no way she didn't know. We discovered that Maria had falsified her resume.
She did what?
Our company was hiring college graduates only, and on her resume, Maria stated that she would be graduating from a university this spring. However, we discovered that she was actually a few credits short of graduating and would have to take a class this summer to make up for it. so she would not actually have received her degree by the time the job was slated to start. And since she was aware of this when she submitted her resume, we had no choice but to remove her from the candidate pool and go with another applicant.
Wait, she was a few credits short? She never told me that. And she's taking summer classes?
Worse, we discovered that the preliminary transcript she had submitted was a forgery, which showed her as already having taken the courses she was scheduled to take this summer. And I'd like to think I don't need to tell you this, but kind of forgery is a crime. So, in addition to rescinding her employment offer, I'd also like to inform you that we are considering filing criminal charges against her for the forgery.
You can't be serious.
I am serious.
Can't you do anything about this? I mean, you're the company president and she's your niece. You couldn't throw your niece out to the curb, could you?
Well, I would like to, but you just told me a short time ago that using my position to favor my niece would be abuse of authority, correct?
Well, yeah, I did, but can't you make an exception in this one case?
And what reason would I possibly have to make an exception for you?
To help out Maria? I mean, think of the situation she's in now.
The situation she's in now is entirely of her own doing. I've said all I have to say for now, so I'll take my leave. Enjoy your evening.
Audrey, you've got to do something. Oh boy. What's wrong now, Kayla? It's Maria. She's been arrested. What? She was? What for? What happened, Kayla? When I talked to Maria about her not being able to graduate on time, she said she was only missing one class. And, well, what sort of university makes a girl delay her graduation for just one stupid class? That's ridiculous, isn't it? So she was already frustrated, and when she had her job offer rescinded on top of that, she kind of went crazy. Just a little bit. She went over to John's company this morning to confront him about the whole situation. Oh no, I have a feeling that didn't go over well. The receptionist told her she wasn't allowed on the premises and to leave immediately, but Maria said that she wasn't going to leave until she was allowed to speak to John and sat on the floor right in front of the receptionist desk, so they said they were going to call the police. And when the police came and told her to leave, she refused. And then when they tried to arrest her, she struggled a bit. Struggled? I'm pretty sure that's just called resisting arrest. What did they expect her to do when they tried to put handcuffs on her? No one likes to be handcuffed. Kayla, I know you're worried about Maria, but you need to calm down and think rationally about all this. Calm down? Don't tell me to calm down. I can't be calm at a time like this. And besides, all of this is John's fault. If he hadn't rescinded Maria's job offer, then none of this would have ever happened. She'd be working at a good company for a good salary, and everyone would be happy. No. This is all Maria's fault for falsifying her resume and forging those transcripts. That's not just immoral, Kayla. That's illegal. Yeah, so? The only reason the company even knew about that was because John had them look into her history. He should have just minded his own business and let her join the company. But no, he had to go sticking his nose where it didn't concern him. Sorry, Kayla, wrong again. She was going to get caught sooner or later. That's not the sort of thing you can hide forever. Not to mention, the longer it took for them to find out, the bigger a deal it would have become. So it's honestly for the best that she got caught this early on. Also, John didn't even know that Maria was one of the applicants until after they started their investigation into her history, so you can't blame this on his personal vendetta against you or anything. Maria has no one to blame but herself for what happened. But it's not her fault. She didn't deserve any of this. Good grief, Kayla. How long are you going to treat Maria like she's a kid? You're being way too easy on her. Every single time she gets into trouble, you swoop in to defend her, telling her it's not her fault and placing the blame on someone else. And that's the precise reason why she's become so shallow and arrogant, refusing to admit any of her faults. Really, this is all due to how you raised her, Kayla. That's not true. Maria's a beautiful, intelligent woman, just like me. Your lack of self-awareness aside, you're old enough to know that even a beautiful, intelligent woman won't get anywhere in life unless she has a strong sense of personal responsibility. This will be a good opportunity for Maria to find out how society really works. You can't get by with just a pretty face. There are rules to follow, manners, ethics. She needs to learn about all that stuff. And as for you, Kayla, this should also be a good opportunity for you to consider how your responsibility as Maria's mother and to give some good thought to where precisely in your parenting you went wrong and how to help fix it. Don't throw all this on me, Audrey. What about you? This is your niece we're talking about. Don't you feel sorry for her in the slightest? Don't you love your own niece? If you had a heart, you'd be doing all you could to help her out right now. Like getting John's company to drop the charges. Were you paying attention just now? I do want to help her. The problem is that you and I don't see eye to eye on what specific sort of help Maria needs. And until you can understand that, there's nothing I could do or say that would get through to Maria. Or you. So no, Kayla, I'm not going to give her the sort of help you want me to give her. Audrey, you can't do this! I'm your sister! She's your niece! I've had more than enough interaction with you for a while. Don't contact me anymore after this. If I ever feel like talking to you again, I'll let you know. John's company pressed charges, and Maria was found guilty of forgery, fraud, and finally resisting arrest. Having found out about all of this, Maria's college expelled her. It's crazy that she went this far over having to take one little class. Kayla tried complaining to her husband, demanding that he talk to John and me to get us to help Maria out in some way, but he apparently had no intention of doing anything of the sort. Quite the contrary. He told her that very day that he was divorcing her. Maria's trouble with the law had started to have a serious negative impact on his work, and his company told him that if he didn't take care of it, then they would fire him. And, well, he took care of it. I kept my word to Kayla, and I haven't spoken to her ever since I sent that last message. When I talked to my parents about what had happened, they were utterly disgusted and cut Kayla off too. And that's the story of how my sister Kayla and her daughter Maria ended up destroying their lives. With the kind of criminal record Maria earned for herself, she's going to have a seriously hard time landing any employment at all, much less a job at a good company like John's. To make up for that, Kayla's now working a double shift every day from Monday to Friday in order to make ends meet. Sucks for her, but she brought this on herself.
Hey Grace, you there? I got a question for you. So how much did Dad's painting sell for anyway?
Mitchell? Are you being serious right now? Are you really so hard up for money right now that you would ask me such an inappropriate question?
Long story short, yeah. So how much are they worth?
How am I supposed to know?
Oh man, so you don't know, huh?
Yeah, and I don't care to know, since I would never in a million years think to sell those paintings. They were Dad's parting gifts to Mom.
Yeah, but Dad managed to make ends meet just on selling his paintings when he was alive, right? Seems to me like if he was able to do that, his paintings must be worth a decent amount.
Yeah, and as long as those paintings are Mom's property and she has no intention to sell them, then they're not for sale, so it doesn't matter how much money they're worth. End of discussion. Got it?
Aww.
Hey, Mom. How are you doing? It's been a while since I was there, so I was thinking about coming back into town this coming weekend. Do you have any plans? I'm doing fine, Grace. Thank you for asking. No, I don't have any plans at all. Feel free to stop by whenever you'd like. You just missed Mitchell and his wife Laura. They came by this morning to chat for a while and asked me to show them your father's old paintings. They did? Why? Laura was so taken with them that she asked if I wouldn't mind giving them a few to decorate their house with. I went ahead and let them take out a couple that they liked. Oh no, Mom! You gotta get them back! Call Mitchell right now and tell him to give them back to you! Why's that, Grace? Your father left them to me, but I consider them to be heirlooms for the whole family. Laura was very interested in seeing them. I don't see what's the problem with letting them put a couple up in their house. I'm sure they'll take perfectly good care of them. I don't see anything to be worried about. Yeah, Mom, I know that those paintings have a lot of sentimental value to you and I, but you can't forget that they also carry a high monetary value. Did you at least tell them explicitly that they're not allowed to sell them? Grace, what's gotten into you all of a sudden? I think you're worrying too much about nothing. Mom, you know Mitchell as well as I do. You know he would sell those in a heartbeat if he wanted to. He has absolutely no financial skills. His paychecks are nearly used up within a day or two of his payday. And just yesterday, he sent me a bunch of messages asking me to tell him how much Dad's paintings are worth. Isn't that suspicious? I got a really bad feeling from the way he was talking. And that's a big reason why I wanted to come home this weekend and make sure he didn't do anything really stupid. I had no idea that derelict would make his move so quickly. I should have messaged you right away after our conversation yesterday. This is all my fault. Grace, I'm telling you, you don't need to worry about a thing, dear. How can you be so relaxed at a time like this? He's definitely going to try and sell Dad's paintings. It's all over and done with, Grace. You don't need to concern yourself with anything. Huh? Wait, what do you mean it's over and done with? That's for me to know, and for you to find out. You're not making any sense. For now, you can come on down here this weekend like you had planned. I'll have your favorite cookies waiting for you when you get here. Mom, this is bad. I just got to Dad's studio, you know, the one where he stored all his paintings. Oh my, Grace, you're here already? You're much earlier than I expected. And you've caught me off guard, too. I was just about to head out to the store to buy the ingredients for your cookies. Mom, listen. The door to Dad's studio was unlocked when I got here. And when I looked inside, the whole place had been cleared out. Every single one of Dad's paintings is gone. Really? I thought this was too much for even them, but I checked the security camera footage and sure enough, Mitchell and Laura were here last night and they stuffed all of Dad's paintings into their car. Do you still have the key to Dad's study? Do you think they might have managed to make a copy of it? We've got to move fast, Mom. If we wait any longer, Mitchell's gonna sell every last one of them. We can't let them get away with this. Do you have any idea where they might have taken them? Grace, please calm down for a moment. Why can't you just explain what's going on, Mom?
Grace, this is bad. Really, really bad. You gotta help me.
Mitchell? What on earth are you so spooked about? What's going on?
I'm in big trouble, Grace. I need help, fast.
Just calm down and tell me what happened and what you need me to help you with.
Okay, well, I sold all of Dad's old paintings the other day.
I knew it! I knew you were planning to sell them.
I had no choice, Grace. I was up to my eyeballs in debt, and I had no other way to pay it off. You'd do it too if you were in my shoes.
Debt? What did you borrow money for?
Well, you know, a little of this, a little of that. But I figured that if I sold Dad's paintings, I could pay it off in one big lump sum. And, well, maybe if there was a little bit left over, then I could spend it on some stuff for myself.
I can't believe you, Mitchell. This is a new low for you. How could you just throw away our memories of Dad like that?
Save the lecture for later, Grace. Now isn't the time for that. I've got a much bigger problem on my hands. It turns out all the paintings in Dad's study were fakes. None of them were original. Every last one was a fake.
They were fakes? But that doesn't make any sense.
I took them to a professional appraiser to see how much they were worth, and he said that they were all remakes based on Dad's paintings. They weren't actually his paintings. He was 100% positive too. Dad's signature wasn't even on them, so there was no way they were real.
So wait a second. All of the paintings that Dad kept stored in his study, they were all fakes?
Yes, that's what I've been trying to tell you. The appraiser said that they were all copies that were made digitally, then printed off, then printed off by a computer and placed into a frame, and even the frames were cheap knockoffs.
The story is getting weirder and weirder.
I know, right? I'm still in shock. I can't believe it.
Give me a few minutes, Mitchell. I'm going to talk to Mom for a second. I'll be right back. Hey, Mom, where are you right now? Oh, hello, Grace. I'm at the art museum. There's an exhibit going on with pieces from an acquaintance of mine. An exhibit? Yes, for an artist who was classmates with your father back in art school. I'd met them a couple times over the years as well, so they were kind enough to send me an invitation. Oh, okay, well, that's nice. But I have something completely unrelated that I need to talk to you about, and it's urgent. Do you have a minute? But of course. How can I help you, dear? I just got a message from Mitchell, and he's super panicked. He said that he just took Dad's paintings to an appraiser, but the appraiser said they were all fakes. And? Is that all you have to say about this? I mean, is it true? There's always a possibility that he's lying and that he kept the originals, made the fakes by himself, and took them to the appraiser to cover his tracks. But I don't think Mitchell is that smart. So I guess I have no choice but to take him at his word, that the paintings he took from Dad's studio were legitimately fakes, and he's just surprised as I was. He also said that the appraiser told him that the paintings he had were all digitally drawn copies of the original that were painted off by a computer and placed into frames. Yes, that all sounds right to me. So, and this is just a guess here, but the fake copies that Mitchell and Laura took from Dad's studio, you made them, didn't you? And the painting that you said you gave them yourself a few days earlier, that was another one of your drawings, right? You're a clever girl, Grace. Well, it seemed like a logical conclusion. I knew that you worked as a background illustrator for an advertising firm back in the day, and I thought you had said something about using drawing software with a computer rather than a pen and paper. So, since neither I or Mitchell have any artistic talent whatsoever, the only other person who had both access to Dad's studio and had an art background was you, Mom. You figured that out all by yourself? Truly impressive, dear. Okay, now that that's out of the way, the last remaining question is, why did you do all that? To be honest, I felt that this would be the only possible way to teach that boy a lesson that would set him straight. Go on. It's been a hobby of mine for the last several years to take your father's paintings and do my best to recreate them digitally. Once I felt like I was getting better at copying them, I started printing them out onto full-size paper and placing them into frames to compare them side by side with the real ones. Then, the other day, your brother Mitchell came by, saw one of my most recent copies, and apparently couldn't tell the difference between it and the real one. Oh, is that the one you gave him? The one you messaged me about? Yes, that's the one. They were raving about how beautiful it was and complimenting your father's artistic ability. They seemed so convinced that it was the real thing that I just didn't have the heart to tell them otherwise. They must have taken my key to the studio and copied it when I was packing the frame into the box for safe transportation. And then, the day you came back into town, they waited until I had left the house to go into your father's studio and take all the paintings they thought were real. After that, they went down to the appraiser's place to have them looked at, and the rest is history. By the way, the appraiser they went to also happens to be a friend of your father's, and he called me after Mitchell and Laura left his office to tell me that they had brought my drawings to his store. Wow, you knew the appraiser? I guess that makes sense. It's not a very big art community around here. Yes, your father was quite the popular artist. I'd be surprised if there were any appraisers he wasn't friends with. Your father was quite a shrewd man as well. He foresaw the possibility that Mitchell would try to sell his paintings and made preparations to cut him off at the pass. He sent out messages through his colossal network of connections in the art world and made sure that any time any person tried to sell one of his paintings, that they would contact me immediately. Looks like his plan was a resounding success. Yeah, that explains why the appraiser called you. I was wondering about that. Indeed. Mitchell and Laura were still at his office when he called, so I had him tell them that the appraisal would take some more time and send them back home. Then, just today, I had him call Mitchell back and tell him the news, that he couldn't buy the paintings from them because they were fake. My guess is that Mitchell messaged you after getting off the phone with the appraiser. You said he sounded panicked. Wow, I'm really impressed. I never would have thought both you and Dad had planned for such an occasion as this. Oh, and by the way, don't worry about my paintings. The appraiser had them all returned to your father's art studio. And as for the originals, I've had them stored in a much more secure location for years now. So you don't have a thing to worry about, Grace. They're completely 100% safe. Okay, well, that does make me feel a lot better. But that still leaves the issue of Mitchell and Laura's debt. He told me that he was in debt up to his eyeballs and was planning to sell Dad's paintings in order to pay it all off. Yes, and I think it's high time I took care of that boy once and for all. What do you mean, Mom? It's just like I told you before, Grace. That boy's life took a turn for the worse ever since he married that awful Laura woman. I warned him not to marry her, that she would be a bad influence on him, but did he listen to his mother? Of course not. And look at him now, tens of thousands of dollars in debt that he used on exotic trips, fancy dinners, and casinos. Casinos? You mean he went into debt so he could gamble? I take back what I said about him. It's not that he has no financial skills. He's just an irredeemable moron. Good grief! I know how you feel, but I've made arrangements for him as well. You mean there's even more to you and Dad's plan for Mitchell? I told you that it's all over and done with, didn't I? When I said all, I meant it. I've made arrangements for Mitchell to deal with his debt. Oh boy, what did you do, Mom? I did what any responsible parent would do to turn their prodigal son back to the straight and narrow. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to go back to enjoying the art exhibit. Take care, Grace. Stop by whenever you'd like. Oh, sure. Thanks, Mom. Talk to you later.
Grace, you gotta help me!
What is it this time?
This is bad, really bad, like super bad, I mean it.
Okay, I'll bite. What is super bad, Mitchell?
Brackwater!
Brackwater?
A black panel van just pulled up in front of our house and a bunch of guys with ski masks jumped out. They're saying they're with the Brackwater Company.
Oh, they're the military contractor that Mom's cousin worked for a few years ago, right? That actually makes perfect sense. Now I know what Mom meant when she said she had made arrangements for you.
Wait, what do you know about this, Grace? Tell me, please, and fast!
They're a military contractor that operates in a lot of foreign countries that are in various states of civil unrest, and it seems like they've found their two newest recruits.
Recruits? I didn't sign up for anything.
Well, I have good news and bad news. The good news is it looks like Mom found you a job where you can work up all the debt you built up. The bad news is you might not be alive long enough to enjoy the debt-free life you've been dreaming of.
You mean I might die? This can't be happening. Grace, you have to do something. Help me.
You think I'm going to put myself on the line against Brackwater? Sorry, but I have better things to do than go up against a mercenary group like them. Didn't you watch the news? Every time someone tries to blow the whistle about their activities, they end up dying in strange circumstances.
Grace, you can't let them take me, can you?
Actually, I can, and I will.
Grace! No!
I really had Mitchell going with the whole Brackwater bit, didn't I? Well, unfortunately, the people who came to pick him up weren't a shadowy mercenary group. They were from a live-in work education program for derelict adults. Mom was aware they were coming to pick up Mitchell and Laura that night, and she pulled up in her car right after they did. Mitchell and Laura were already loaded into the van when she got there, and she was greeted to a chorus of bangs on the van walls and muffled sounds of terrified screams. She spoke to the leader of the team the two of them would be inducted into for a while about what sort of work they'd be doing over the next year, then turned and walked over to the van. Mitchell had a gleam of hope in his eye when he saw Mom coming, thinking she was going to save him from the terrible fate that awaited him. But she just went up to the window and said, "Have a good time, Mitchell," got back into her car, and drove home. Mitchell and Laura were put right to work in their re-education programs at separate facilities. They're doing everything from construction to sanitation to engine repair and all sorts of skills that might help them land a job that they'll be able to keep for more than a month or so. Hopefully, in between all the back-breaking labor, they'll find at least a little bit of time to reflect on their lives, think about how they got themselves into this situation, and make a plan on how to work their way out.
Hello, Jessica. This is Roy's mother. Do you have a moment to talk?
Oh, of course. What can I do for you?
I thought it was about time we got together to have a discussion about Roy's estate.
His estate? Don't you think it's a little bit too soon for that? It's only been a week since his funeral.
Yes, I'm aware, but it's a discussion that we need to have, and the sooner the better. I'm not sure if Roy ever told you this, but he should have left a sizable amount of money to me. That boy was always good to me, and this was his final act of filial piety. I'm planning on using the money to have a pleasant and relaxing retired life.
I see. So you were planning on your son's inheritance to finance your retirement.
Also, Jessica, I think you should know that I have every intention to not allow one single penny of Roy's money go to you.
What?
You had to see this coming, dear. I heard about everything from Roy. The two of you were about to be divorced when he passed away. Am I right?
Well, yes, I suppose we were.
Well, then that settles it. What right could you possibly have over Roy's money? Roy is my son, and you're little more than a former roommate of his as far as I'm concerned. I will not let you have his estate.
Did Roy happen to tell you the specific circumstances of our divorce, or did he leave that part out?
Isn't it obvious? You were a complete failure as a wife. You used him for his money, and you never paid him any of the attention or affection he deserved as your husband. You may have cheated my son out of some of his hard-earned money while he was living, but I will not let you steal from him now.
Is that so?
And that's all I have to say. Now pack up your things and be out of that house by this evening.
Seriously?
I'm dead serious, Jessica. The house you are living in belonged to Roy. He built it with his own money. His name is on the title. And now that he's gone, that house belongs to me, his mother. There's no fighting this, Jessica. It's all written very clearly in his will. The house is mine. I'm going to be moving in there as soon as possible, which means you need to leave as soon as possible. Take all your things, leave all of Roy's, and be out of that house by sundown. And I know if you take anything of Roy's, so don't even think about trying to steal his things. Ugh. Don't be such an immature brat, Jessica. You can't seriously be planning to try and stay in that house, can you? Since you were about to divorce him and move out anyway, I'm sure you already had arrangements made for another apartment or something, so there's no reason for you to stay there.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't really need this house.
Good, then it's settled, and we have no more reason to talk to each other.
But seeing as the house is getting foreclosed on today, I don't think you'll be able to enjoy living there for very long.
What? Foreclosed?
I'll talk to the bank to tell them that you'll be the one to hand over the keys to them. But you'll need to sign over the deed to them by tonight, so make sure you bring a pen. If you ask them nicely enough, maybe they'll even give you an hour or so to take in some of your memories of Roy.
What are you talking about?
Hi there, Jessica. Hope you're doing well tonight. Thanks again for everything you did with my brother's funeral. I really appreciate it. Hey there, Steph. Don't mention it. By the way, did you get over the fever you caught after the funeral was over? How are you feeling?
Oh, that? Nah, I'm totally fine right now.
I've been over that for days. I bet I just overexerted myself. I was already burning the candle at both ends with my work lately, and then in the middle of that I had to deal with my brother's funeral.
Wow, it must have been a really hard time for you then. I'm glad you're doing better anyway.
It wasn't too bad. I bet it was way harder on you than me. I know that a lot happened between you and my brother, but I want you to know how grateful I am that you gave him a proper funeral, even after all of that.
It's no problem at all, Steph.
And by the way, my main purpose for messaging you right now is because I heard that my mom has been pestering you with texts lately about my brother's estate. Is that true?
Yeah, kinda. Is she actually still living in that house right now?
Yes. Yes, she is. Unbelievable. I don't know what she's thinking. It's like she's completely oblivious to everything that's happened over the last few years and her part in it. My dad says it's like talking to a brick wall trying to talk sense into her these days.
Oh, boy. I wish there was a way I could help.
Well, that's actually the second thing I wanted to talk to you about. I know this is sudden, but are you free at the moment? If possible, I'd like to meet with you in person. There's a number of things I'd like to talk to you about, including what to do next about my mom.
Yeah, I'm totally free tonight. I'm staying at the hotel that's right next to the bus station downtown. If I recall correctly, your house isn't too far away from here, right? We could either meet at your house or my hotel's lobby, whichever is best for you.
I'll go ahead and head over to your hotel. I remember where it is. Thanks. See you then.
Good morning. What can I do for you? Don't give me good morning. Some people from a real estate agency just came by and said if I don't leave the house soon, they're going to call the police and have me arrested for trespassing. According to them, the house is actually in your name. That's the first I've ever heard of that. Why didn't you tell me? You already sold it to them? You owe me an explanation. Wait, you really didn't know about all that? I guess maybe Roy was planning to tell you about everything once it had been finalized, but it seems like he could have at least told you the bare minimum. Hurry up and explain what you did. Just make sure you're aware that Roy and I were planning to get a divorce when he died, right? Yes, and what of it? What does that have to do with you stealing my house and selling it without my permission? I'm getting there, calm down. Next, were you aware that the reason we were getting divorced was because Roy was cheating on me? He was? So you didn't know. Well, he was cheating on me, so I sued him both for the damages related to the affairs as well as for a divorce. Roy was lavishing his mistress with gifts, designer handbags, shoes, vacations, you name it. And in just the span of a year, our total savings declined from around $100,000 to just $1,000. He spent that much in a single year? Now, one major problem for Roy was that the money he spent came out of our joint savings account. So he had spent tens of thousands of dollars of savings that were also mine without my permission on his illicit affair. Ordinarily, in this sort of situation, I'd have the legal right to demand he return every single penny of that money to me, but I was also fully aware that he had no means with which to repay it, and I was eager to not have any interactions with him anymore after the divorce. So, our lawyers talked it over, and in the end the compromise we decided on was this. I would agree not to sue Roy, to have him return the money he spent on his mistress, and in return I would receive the house, as well as all the furniture and appliances in the house. It was at that point that he transferred the deed over to me, and I sold the entire thing to a real estate company the very next day. How could you do such a thing? The real estate company was actually super understanding about everything, and they agreed to let me stay in the house until Roy's funeral was over. You sold my son's house! I can't believe you! That was the only thing I had to remember him by. Hey, don't blame me. Blame your son for being a cheater. None of this would have happened if you would have kept his pants on. If only he had not slept with that woman, we wouldn't be getting divorced, and he wouldn't have exhausted all of our savings on her. So, yeah. I don't see how I did anything wrong in all of this. It's all Roy and his mistress's fault. Yes, you're right. It's all his mistress's fault, that vile woman. If she hadn't seduced my poor, innocent Roy, then none of this would have ever happened. Who is that vile harpy? Tell me her name. You must know who she is, don't you? I'll go find her and give her a piece of my mind for the terrible fate she brought upon my poor Roy. I don't think you need me to tell you her name. You already know her. She's one of your friends. What? What are you talking about? It was Nancy Johnson. No, not Nancy. How long ago was it? Maybe 2 years ago or so? You were going at me in your usual way, telling me I'm worthless and that Roy deserves better than me when you said, I know, I'll just have to find him a woman better than you. Sometime after that, you brought the darling Nancy Johnson, the daughter of one of your friends, over for dinner. And within just a few days of that dinner, the two of them began their nearly 2-year-long affair. That can't be true! Oh, and one more thing. You seem to be under the wrong impression about Roy's will. More specifically, you're under the impression that he had a will at all. He didn't. And since he had no will, by default, his estate is passed on to his legal heir. I know that. Everyone knows that. That's exactly what I'm saying. As his mother, I'm his next of kin, and so I'm the one who gets his estate. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but since we were still married at the time of Roy's death, I was still his legal wife, and thus I am his next of kin, not you. What? And I mean, besides, even if you were to inherit his estate, how much do you think it could really be worth? He didn't just waste our joint savings account on his mistress. He even blew through the savings he had from when he was single. So I don't know what you were expecting, but at this point he doesn't have much of an estate at all. Oh no. When going through his stuff the other day, I looked up his bank accounts, and none of them had more than a few dollars in it. I don't believe you. You're lying! Well, if you want some proof, I can give you all his bank cards and passwords, and you can check them all out for yourself. And if you're still intent on trying to claim that for yourselves, you're more than welcome to have your lawyer contact mine and discuss the issue. What do you say? Enough of this already! I get it. Oh, well that's good. Be sure to have all your things moved out of the house by sundown tonight. Tonight? You can't do this to me, Jessica. Jessica? Where are you? I just stopped by your parents' house, but they weren't living there anymore. When did they move? Where are you? My parents' house? They haven't been living at that house for over a year now. In any case, why are you at my parents' old house? I'm looking for you, of course. Me? Why would you be looking for me at my parents' old house? It's way too far away from my job. I'd have like an hour-long commute every day. Then where are you? Tell me! I don't see any legitimate reason for you to need to know where I am right now. If you need anything from me, you can ask my lawyer. Just tell me where you are this instant. I mean it! If you must know, I'm staying with a friend for a while. What friend? Give me the address of the house, Jessica. That's an order. Not a chance. Why would I? You and I are nothing anymore. I'm not your daughter-in-law. You're not my mother-in-law. Nonsense. Of course you're still my daughter-in-law. Even if Roy has passed away, nothing changes the fact that you were married into this family, Jessica. I'm still your daughter-in-law, whether you like it or not. And as my daughter-in-law, it is your duty to provide me with the financial support. Where did you hear that from? Some weird Facebook group or something? No, I no longer have any duty, morally or legally, to provide you with any support of any kind. You're not getting anything out of me. Don't run away from your responsibilities to me. Were you listening just now? The moment that Roy died, our legal marriage was dissolved, so I no longer have any legal connections to you whatsoever. Is that clear? I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore, and even if I was, I still would do everything in my power to not have to provide you with any support. You're terrible! I don't deserve to be treated this way. After everything you've done to me over the years, you deserve way worse from me than this. You're lucky I didn't sue you for emotional abuse. So no, I'm not going to give you the address for my friend's house, who is even less of a connection to you than me. Now just leave me alone. I never want to speak to you again for the rest of my life. You can't abandon me. What am I supposed to do now? Oh, right. Your husband divorced you the other day, didn't he? How do you know that? I heard the whole thing from Steph. It was quite the story. I didn't even know about this at the time, but the night that Roy got into that car accident, he was on his way to see his mistress, Nancy, wasn't he? Your ex-husband found out about that, and he also found out that you were the one introducing the two of them. Boy, was he shocked to hear that. And the straw that broke the camel's back was when I let the two of them know that you introduced them in hopes that Roy would leave me and get married to her. Once he heard that, he couldn't take it anymore and filed for divorce the very same day. He kicked you out of the house, and when you tried crawling to Steph for help, she cut you out too. Aren't you in a predicament? But there was no way I could have predicted things would turn out like this. I'll give you that much. I wouldn't have seen it coming either if I was in your shoes. But then, if I was in your shoes, I don't think I'd be going around encouraging my son to have an affair, and also actively bringing him women to have affairs with. Please, Jessica, you have to help me. Why? Because I have nowhere else to go. My parents are long dead, and I have no siblings. Don't you remember your wedding vows? You promised to love my son, for better or worse, richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, right? Who cares about legal connections? You're my daughter-in-law. We're eternally bound through your marriage to Roy. I know we can get along well, you'll see. Did you forget the whole "till death do us part" bit? Or that you were the one who pushed Roy into his affair, which led to the ends of both our marriages as well as his life? Well, or that you were constantly verbally abusive to me throughout the entire time I've known you? Lucky for you, your son's good-for-nothing wife is officially out of your hair forever. Jessica, you have to give me a place to live. That's an order. No. Jessica? I'm blocking you. And if you ever try to contact me again, I'll get a restraining order put out on you. Jessica! Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your life. After that, who do you suppose my ex-mother-in-law went to for help? None other than Nancy Johnson, the woman she pushed into my husband's arms. Personally, I've gotten over her affair with Roy, partially because of the passing of time and partially because I'd already received a massive judgment against her for the affair. But it seems as though my ex-mother-in-law wasn't quite over it. She stormed in the house and screamed at her, saying, "If you hadn't made my Roy spend so much money on you, he would have had some left over for me." And then she started breaking every breakable object in sight. It's honestly kind of impressive how well she avoids placing even the smallest amount of blame for the situation on Roy, but I digress. In the end, Nancy ended up suing her and winning a hefty judgment for the damage done to her house. So, now my ex-mother-in-law is stuck with being a 70-year-old divorcee, working whatever odd jobs she's physically capable of in order to pay it off. Part of me feels bad for her, but that's a very, very small part of me. Most of me just feels like she got what was coming for her. Karma always wins in the end. Oh well, none of that is any concern of mine anymore. Now I can finally get back to enjoying a nice, peaceful life with my fiancé. We're getting married next month.
Marissa, I'm currently outside the house, but you're free right now, right?
What? Oh, did you leave the house, Michaela?
Come on, I'm 27 and I know there's an age gap between me and my husband who's 43. I heard that he had a single sister who was 1 year younger than him, so I was prepared to live with a sister-in-law who was older than me, but...
What's your point?
I never thought you'd be such a failure. Are you seriously 15 years older than me, but unemployed and still single?
Do I look like that much of a failure to you?
I mean, you never do anything, right? It's the afternoon of a weekday, but you've got no plans.
I mean, I guess right now I have nothing to do, but I have to prepare for my trip to America, so it's not like I'm always not doing anything.
Are you sure you need to go to America?
What do you mean?
I'm telling you not to go.
Huh?
It'll cost a lot of money, right?
Well, I guess I have to pay for the airplane tickets and stuff, so it will cost some money, but...
Don't you think that's not something an unemployed person can just do without the permission of others?
It's true that I'm not working currently, but I explained that and also why I was living my parents' house when you moved in, right?
You did tell me, but it's not a reason to go to America.
Even if you say that, I can't just not go.
Oh my god, I didn't text you to talk about this. I wanted to tell you to do all the household chores if you got nothing to do.
I don't mind doing the chores, but you're the one who's going to make tonight's dinner, right?
Just do it for me, will you? I'm busy unlike you. I know it's my turn to make dinner today, but I don't have the time for it. You have no right to complain when you've got nothing to do anyways, while I, on the other hand, am busy.
Fine, I'll make the dinner for tonight.
Well then, I need to go now, so bye.
Good morning, Marissa.
Good morning, Gaston.
I'm gonna finish work with my work in Italy today, just like planned.
I see. Thanks for your work.
Oh, thanks. So I'll ask you again just in case. Did you get airplane tickets for next week, Tuesday? There's no need to change the date, right?
Yep, it's fine. I'm done with almost all the preparation already.
I see. So just as planned then. I'll go to your house on Tuesday morning and greet your family as well.
Alright, I'm looking forward to it.
On the other hand, though, you said that your brother who owns a business married a woman named Michaela? Who's 27 years old, right? And that she's living with you guys.
Yup, she moved in 3 months ago. Apparently her parents already passed away, and the two of them suddenly married without her families ever meeting.
Did you ever hear where she graduated university?
Oh, she mentioned that she went to the same university as you, K University.
Does she have a mole under her left eye?
Yeah, she does. Do you two know each other?
Unless this is just some sort of coincidence and this Michaela is a different person, then yeah, we knew each other in university. This feels like it could be trouble. Maybe we were lucky I was relocated to America.
What's the matter?
Sorry, I want to contact your brother-in-law and tell her something about Michaela first. I'll tell you about it later. It'll be best if I'm just making a mistake, but...
This sounds important. Got it. Just tell me about it later.
That reminds me, it's been 3 months since I got married and moved here.
Oh, it's already been that long?
You're still unemployed, right, Marissa?
Yeah.
So, when are you gonna get a job?
Probably a bit later in the future. Now is not a good time to look for a job.
Huh? You're 42 and still think that's how you think? Don't you think that's a bit problematic?
Well, you say that, but I don't know what kind of jobs there'll be over there, so...
What? Will you stop talking nonsense? Oh, never mind. I don't think this is impossible.
What's not possible?
I am biologically unable to live with you anymore, so please leave.
Huh? I already told you this multiple times, but I'm leaving for America next week, so...
Huh? You're talking about your trip to America again? I already told you I'm not gonna let you waste my money on a trip. If you got the time to prepare for such things, then why don't you find a job? Hurry up and get a job so you can leave this house.
Michaela, you're telling me not to go to America anymore and instead find a job? Do you know how difficult that will be for me?
What part of that is difficult? It's easy. Just don't waste money on a trip to America and get a job so you can provide us with money.
You
don't have to get a full-time job immediately. It's It's fine if you work part-time or as a dispatch worker. It's a lot better than just being unemployed, right?
Michaela, did I phrase what I just said poorly?
What, you still have excuses?
When I said I'm going to America, I didn't mean that I was going on vacation.
What?
I'm going to be moving there, which means that I'm also going to be leaving this house. That's what I intended to say, but...
Huh? You're moving there? To America? Even though you don't have a job?
Didn't I tell you when you moved in? My fiancé is being relocated to America by the company he works for, so I quit the job I already had to go with him. I lived in a company-owned apartment while I was working there, so I had to move out when I quit. So I was going to live here at my parents' house until I moved to America.
What? You're so delusional. You're 41 but have a fiance? Jesus, at least tell me a more believable lie.
It's not a lie.
Do you have proof?
Ask my brother or my parents. They'll all tell you that I have a fiance. They've met him already, so that's enough proof, right?
What? But I don't want to do that. It'd be like I was playing along with your fantasies. Ew.
Then do you want me to send you a picture of him?
It could just be you and some other acquaintance, so that wouldn't count as proof.
Then why don't you wait until next Tuesday when I leave for America? He's going to be coming here to pick me up and greet my parents.
Huh?
Me moving to America is neither a fantasy nor a lie. Whether you believe it or not, I'm soon going to be leaving this country.
Ew, are you getting mad at me since you couldn't prove it? You're so pathetic.
We're leaving next week Tuesday. You'll be able to meet him then. The two of us are going to head to the airport after that, so send us off, okay?
What? Were you actually being serious? This can't be true. Your fiance is Gaston?
I was prepared for there to be a scene when you saw him, but I didn't expect you to be that surprised.
What's the meaning of this?
You were both in the same club at university, apparently. You had already graduated when you were a student there, but he was a sort of coach who sometimes visited the club, right?
Why? He said no when I said I wanted to go out with him. Why is an unemployed old woman an elite businessman who works for a foreign firm? There's no place where you two could have met no matter how you think about it.
I was an employee at one of their client companies.
What? What are you talking about? Weren't you always unemployed and lived in your parents' house? You couldn't get married until you were past 40, and you have no children. So it's only natural to think that there was something off about you. Why would Gaston go out with such a woman?
Michaela, you really don't listen to what other people say, don't you?
Huh? What are you talking about?
I told you about my situation when you married my brother, right? I'll skip the part about me quitting my job to go with my husband, who was relocated to America, since I already told you about that recently, but I already got married once, but got divorced because my ex-husband cheated on me.
Huh?
Me and my ex-husband had a child who's now 19 years old.
You have a son?
He now goes to university in America, so there was no time for me to introduce you to him since you got married with my brother so quickly. There are 4 main points to what I just told you. I have a fiancé who's been relocated to America, and I quit my job to go with him. I'm only living in my parents' house until he finishes his work here in Italy and we move to America. I've already been married once but got divorced. And finally, I have a 19-year-old son who goes to a university in America. I thought I told all this to you already.
No way.
I mean, we're going to America today, so don't bother us from now on. Oh, and it seems like my brother has something important he needs to tell you. You should probably focus on that instead.
What?
Goodbye.
Wait, what was that about my husband? Marissa, please give me Gaston. I didn't think my husband would find out about my $70,000 of loan. He scolded me about it and made me sign our divorce papers. But if we get divorced, I won't be able to pay my debt back. So give me Gaston instead. Please, Marissa. It's not fair for you to have Gaston, who makes $120,000 a year, all to yourself. Of course he'd rather be married to me, who's only 27 years old, than an old woman in her 40s. Fine. Why don't we make a compromise? I'll be married to him only until I pay back my loan. And after that, I'll divorce him and give him back to you. What do you think? Marissa, I'm making such a good deal for you. Why don't you reply? At this rate, I'll never be able to pay back my loan.
My brother was never really interested in women, but one day he was suddenly approached by Michaela and she pushed him enough that they got married soon after. Michaela didn't tell my brother about her loan, probably because she wanted to use my brother's money in secret to pay it off. Gaston was the one who told him about her debt. There was a time when Michaela was making repeated attempts to start a relationship with Gaston, but she was so insistent with her approaches that my husband got a little suspicious and did some investigation, which is when he found out about her huge debt. He confronted Michaela about this, and after that stopped trying to approach Gaston. By some strange coincidence, the two met again that Tuesday. All her secrets were now exposed, and even though she wasn't forced to pay an alimony, rumors started to spread as to why she got divorced. Since my fiancé has quite a few connections in the region, no man would approach her after that since they knew she was dangerous. Having no other choice, Michaela found a job in a brothel and now works every day, paying off her debt little by little.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.